Howdy gamers. It's hard to say that with a straight face. Anyway, I'm going to cover my transition over to Team Red. I have been with NVIDIA for the past few years, but this isn't my first rodeo with AMD cards. This is the 5700 XT by Sapphire. This is their Nitro Plus. But there's just like such a huge like AMD bad meme going around, especially regarding their graphics drivers. And that's what I was really curious about, because I just wanted to know, are they as bad as people say? And there's a lot of, testimonials out in the wild, but I wanted just to try it out for myself and to see how bad it actually was. And honestly, I was a bit surprised. I'm just going to cover some stuff that is good, that I actually like, some of the stuff that they could improve on, some of them being really easy to improve. AMD, come on. And a little bit of the actual bad stuff that I found. I'll get into that later. All right, now let me just start off with the good. This software. Close out of it and open it. Right click, AMD Radeon software. This is basically the only piece of software that you need in terms of, tuning, either the OC, your games, overlays. It's all here. You don't need to deal with NVIDIA control panel, NVIDIA GeForce Experience, like if you were using an overclocking utility like MSI Afterburner, which then also kind of includes the Riva Tuner Statistics Server, which that's what you use to get that overlay. All that is just baked into here, so it's really cool that I don't have to go and get more apps. So it's just here, and it works surprisingly well. So I'll cover that here on the Performance tab. And here is where you can set an overlay. Oh, by default, it was just going to tell you everything, but I only care about some stuff. For me personally, I only care about the clocks and the temperatures. There's two temperatures there, because in their latest generation, they have the junction temp, which is going to be hotter than what you're normally used to seeing, and then they have their current temperature, which is more typical. Junction temp, I think you just don't want to get anywhere near like 110, which this card had no issues doing that. But if you want, you can just enable that over there, and you'll see in the top right corner, it shows up, and it's all there. It works pretty good. So I'll go ahead and disable that, but it's really nice that I don't have to, open up a different piece of software. And same goes for overclocking. Here you can do basically anything that you might need to. If you want to overclock, undervolt, whatever it is, you can do it here. And for my card specifically, it looks like they had a couple of profiles already, kind of baked in. I just like doing my own, so I just go into manual. But here you can just enable each specific thing individually. So if you're not going to mess around with anything else, just turn up the power tuning. Really easy to do. You don't have to mess around with anything else if you don't feel comfortable with it. But you can do custom fan curves, go into fan tuning, advanced control. You can customize this visually, and works pretty good. Over here in the VRAM, I like looking at the actual numbers, not just the frequency percentage. So I go over here, and I'm pretty sure I can get away with 1850. GPU tuning. I think in the older NVIDIA or older AMD cards, this was a lot more granular with the frequency to voltage ratios, but you can go in here and mess around with it. You're probably only going to want to care about the top end, but feel free to mess around with that. I'm pretty sure I can get away with 1150, but your cards are probably going to vary. But anyway, this is just to show you that you can do basically any kind of overclocking that you want straight from here without having to go, open up a different piece of software. Even undervolting is pretty straightforward, pretty easy here. This is not really a tutorial about that. It's just letting you know that the software's here, and it's pretty good. Okay, now let's get over here. They have some things that are interesting. One more thing I'll touch on the overclocking is that you can save profiles. So I would find something stable, save it as a profile. You can just go over here, save profile. Because then you can tune it more, and then if it crashes, it'll reset this. So you're probably going to want to save a profile just in case. Then you can work off of that one. Okay. those are the stuff that I find really good about the software, and I'm going to move right on over to stuff that they need to improve on. The number one thing that is just so easy for them to improve on. By default, if you open a game, I think it'll just go directly to this menu, so you don't have to click around. But AMD, by default, you have Radeon image sharpening enabled, and if my memory serves correctly, this was over 50% for sure. I want to say it was 80%, which is crazy. Tone it down, just calm down. For a game especially that I'm very familiar with, like Counter-Strike, holy crap, this just looked like exactly what you might think. It just looks like somebody just cranked the sharpness filter up and it was just really crunchy. So if you're gonna have this enabled, I think some games might benefit from this, but set to like 10%. But either disable it by default or just set it way lower. AMD, this is not what you want to be showing to your customers. One of the other things that's enabled by default is anti-lag. I just disabled it here because I was testing around some stuff to see what was causing something to happen. I don't think that's what it was, so I'll just re-enable that. FreeSync, if you have a FreeSync display, it just automatically picks it up and enables everything you need to, just like on mine. And that's about it for the main things that they could easily, very, very easily fix on here. I think everything else is fine. No real issues on there. Now, I think, and while I'm going to cover that, I'll cover another one. AMD, this is the weirdest way to get to some of the settings. So in order to get to the instant replay, the shadow play alternative, you have to go over here into settings, not video, that might make too much sense. Go over here to general. You're probably going to want AMD separate this into its own menu or something, make it easier to find. This is just really annoying, but minor nitpick. Okay, so instant replay, you can enable it here, set how long you want it. You can even set the buffer to be obviously on your hard drive or SSD, or you can even set it to your system memory. I haven't messed around with that too much, but it's a cool idea if you have excess RAM. Now, one of the things that I was actually pretty hyped about when I first saw it, instant GIF. Basically exactly what instant replay is. Basically press a button and it will get a GIF of whatever amount you set. Right now I have it set to 5 seconds. With I've tried a couple different settings here, but the problem is still that the frame rate is just so low. And I'll show you an example of that. So if I go over here, I was pretty proud of this one. I just got a Kugli just randomly, and I decided that would be the perfect sort of moment to capture, and it was just like a quick 5 seconds just showing the moment, and it's really cool, but the frame rate is just so low. AMD, just let me adjust the frame rate of that. I know it might make the file size a little bit bigger, but even I doubt that making it that much bigger would make it bigger than like a video. Because for stuff like this, I don't need the audio or anything. I just wanted to relive the moment. That's it. This is really, really cool. And I'm not going to be surprised to see NVIDIA just straight up steal this idea, because it's just really, really cool. It's so close to being just like awesome. Just let me make that higher frame rate, or just give me a couple presets, something. Okay. And here you can also set down here the quality settings of your instant replay videos if you want to. I think I have messed around with a couple different ones, because I think the default profile results in not super great video quality compared to like the defaults on something like shadow play. So I just messed around with this. So AMD, you could probably still tune some of that stuff, unless it was something on my end. Okay, I'm gonna get onto something a bit more niche. Hotkeys. AMD, just let me set instant replay or something to a single key. And I know that you just specifically, very deliberately disabled this on one of your latest updates, but let me set it to a single key. Yeah, maybe you don't want to let me set it to like a letter or something. That makes sense. I think people were doing stupid stuff like that. Let me set it to like a function key, or like one of the non-visible function keys like F13 through F24, I think. Let me set it to one of those. I'm pretty sure GeForce Experience recognizes that with no problem, and that would make my integration to my Stream Deck a heck of a lot easier. So just let me do that, and that will really simplify a lot of the stuff that I have to do in terms of setting that up. Now, onto a couple of things that were actually kind of bad. I have an NVIDIA Shield TV. That's where I watch all my stuff. And occasionally what I would do is stream my games onto it if I'm playing a more cinematic type game. So now that I don't have that option of the native software, AMD actually has something which I was kind of hyped to take a look at, because, you know, the whole, everything's just all built in. It's really cool. Whew, man, this, I tried every single setting that I could possibly do in terms of configuration. Nothing resulted in a very playable experience, at least on, you know, on that end. It was always just hitching, or it would just, you know, it's even obvious in like very simple moments when I'm just like turning around and I'll just be like this, and like, come on. And I know, before any of you mentioned this, I know it's not a network problem, because Steam Link, I gave that a shot. And wow, I have not tried that in so long, but damn, they have made that way, way better. That worked seamlessly, just as good as, if not maybe even better than the native NVIDIA software. But that might just be because I was comparing it right after I tried AMD Link. So in comparison, yeah, it's like way better for sure. So AMD, I don't know, you need to do something about this. I know that this is a pretty niche feature that a lot of people might not use, but either fix this or just, you know, bail and point people to Steam Link, because that works beautifully. But it is cool that, you know, they had an application on Android TV, but so does, you know, Steam. So the thought is really cool. I mean, of course you could install this on your phone or something, but for my use case, it just didn't work. I can't imagine it working any better on wireless. This was on a wired connection, and I was still having these problems. Okay. Now, onto one of the other actual bad things. And this one I've only found in certain games, so I think it might not be a whole driver level issue as far as I've been able to tell. But I think it's funny because it happens on a game that they include with the GPU, at least when I bought it, and that's Monster Hunter World. What'll happen, and after I noticed I had the metrics enabled, the clock will be fine, and it'll just randomly dip to like 800 or something, and then it will come back up. And that's just like such a pain, because the game is good. I kind of got hooked on it, but those like weird hitches, like, you know, now and then, are just such a pain in the ass. And at least from my casual looking up, I'm not the only one affected by this. So it might be something with the developer that they need to fix, because I haven't noticed this with other games. But it's just so funny that it's happening with a game that they included. You would assume that they would have cherry-picked those to have something that really kind of shows off the performance of the cards. But that's just a weird bug, and it's just funny to see, because I can see the clock speed just tank. So something's happening. I don't know what it is, but y'all need to fix that, because the game's fun, and I want to beat it, but please just fix that. Okay, that's gonna cover basically all of the stuff that I think anybody would actually care about. There's a bunch more in here, but I think this is the main stuff that people might actually, you know, care about. If you have any questions about the driver itself, something that I missed, something that you're curious about, let me know. If you want to know anything specifically about the card, again, feel free to let me know. Because overall, it was just better than I expected, especially given the whole "ooh, drivers are so bad" meme going around everywhere on the PC side. They have some cool ideas like the instant GIF. But my number one tip before you install one of these cards, if you're looking into buying one of these, before you switch from, you know, your NVIDIA card, run the DDU utility. I think that's display driver uninstaller, if that's not correct. Anyway, I'll leave a link down below. But essentially what you'll have to do is download that, extract it, go into safe mode, run it. There's a couple different options. If you're going to install your card like right after this, hit clean and then shut down. Do that, physically uninstall your old card, pop in your new one, and you should be golden. You know, once you boot up, install the driver, you should be set. Okay, if you have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. Feel free to subscribe, follow me on my socials if you'd like. Whew, I feel like I rambled a lot, but man, that's probably the best one yet in terms of all the takes I had. Okay, that's it for me, guys. Y'all have a good one. See ya.